The Democratic National Convention has come to Denver, and progressives from around the nation have descended on the city to make their voices heard by the party they believe is the most likely to listen to them. Here in Congress Park, though, 3 miles south and east of downtown Denver and the Pepsi Center, where Democrats are mounting their once-every-4-year party and show of solidarity, a different sort of scenario is playing out. Perhaps 60 opponents of illegal immigration have gathered for what was billed by the organizers as a massive demonstration to include members of the Minuteman Civil Defense Corps and boasting keynote speaker and Libertarian presidential candidate Bob Barr. At times, it seemed there were more media types here than demonstrators, and even those were drowned out, more often than not, by the bullhorns of counter-protesters nearby. Small gatherings like this are a microcosm of American democracy, and they tend to draw the candidates you never heard of, the ones not backed by big money and large party machines, candidates like Douglas Dayhorse Campbell. Campbell is the American Constitution Party's U.S. Senate candidate from Colorado, and he took the name Dayhorse years ago in an unsuccessful run against Ben Nighthorse Campbell for a U.S. Senate seat. As you would expect, he wasn't invited to speak at a gathering like this one because he shares progressive values.
Immigration of any kind, illegal or legal.
Across town, in the posh surroundings of the Hilton Gardens, the New Democrat Network, or NDN, is playing to a packed house, producing its own panel discussion on immigration, run by its Vice President for Hispanic Programs, Andres Ramirez, and featuring Zoe Lofgren, California's 16th Congressional District Representative to Congress, and the chair of the Subcommittee on Immigration, Citizenship, Refugees, Border Security, and International Law. NDN is a think tank, and it lives up to its reputation, supporting a comprehensive change to immigration laws and policy, looking at how those laws and policies work or don't work together, and articulating some of the perverse results when they don't work.
Well, one, I'd like to make sure that if we're going to pass any law, that it be a comprehensive immigration reform package, one that deals with the undocumented immigrants that are currently here, one that deals with the future flow of potential new immigrants coming through, one that deals with improving our border security, as well as toughening up on the workplace to make sure employers aren't taking advantage of workers. And we also need to make sure that we are just revisiting how we do our visas and everything else. I mean, this concept that we have right now is a very broken immigration system, and we need to ratify that so that we deal with a more comprehensive structure to make it better for everybody.
I also think that we've had a skewing of the nation's priorities through prosecution of minor immigration offenses. We had tens of thousands of immigration prosecutions in the Southwest quadrant. Still only about 5%. I mean, at this rate, it would take us over 2,000 years, actually, to deport everyone who's allegedly here illegally. But at the same time, the reports that we've had from DOJ is that we've had a 38% decline in organized crime prosecutions in the Southwest quadrant. So clearly what's happening here is that we're racking up numbers, really prosecuting nannies and busboys, while the drug cartel that is a serious threat to Mexico and the United States is off the hook. They're no longer the subject of our attention.
At first blush, it would seem that Campbell has little in common with Ramirez and Lofgren, but an interview presents a subtler picture.
It's a difficult problem, but it's a lot easier to track employers than it is to track illegal immigrants. So there needs to be some enforcement on that demand side to make sure that that illegal aliens are reported, to make sure that employers check on the legality of various people. It's an extremely hard question in that as a citizen of the United States, I shouldn't have to show my papers. But if if I am not an illegal immigrant, but it's suggested that I might be, that an employer might have to check my credentials to make sure that I am who I say I am and that I'm an actual citizen of this country. That can happen somehow. It needs to be done in a way that minimizes the infringement on privacy issues.
It seems unlikely that Campbell would agree with Ramirez on the number of immigrants to be allowed legal access to the U.S., but there are areas of agreement that make one wonder if we Americans, in fact, often have more in common than we sometimes realize.
Look, there isn't anyone who wants to come to the United States illegally. The undocumented immigrants who are here don't want to be here illegally.
It should be a reasonable approach and an approach that allows people to come in and certainly takes into consideration those who are seeking political asylum for whatever reason as well.
We don't have a comprehensive approach. So that single law would be to implement a comprehensive approach to immigration, one that deals, again, with providing a pathway to citizenship for those that are already here. And that would require them to learn English, to pay a fine, to undergo a background check, and to get to the back of the line so that people who applied here legally first get that option.
All we're doing is asking for those who do come into this country to do so following the rules that have been set up. Yes, it may take a little time in line. Yes, they may have to go through some hurdles. Yes, they may have to be able to prove and show that they're not criminals or drug dealers or drug addicts.
In the end, though, they live in different worlds. Over the next few days, the Democrats will make speeches. Spinners will spin. The entourage will do whatever entourages do. And it will all be played out on a massive stage to the entire world. A week later, the Republicans will mount their own extravaganza in Minneapolis. As for the anti-immigration crowd, Bob Barr never showed up, and Douglas Dayhorse Campbell will move on to his next audience and his next speech. For Scholars and Rogues, I'm J.S. O'Brien.